Mokwaki benoji ich bin. Dus koe ich bin maar benoji jouwt. Nindas. Nangung gutjen deja. Maar dek den gutjen ni keja ni ke payan chike. Kai gigi gabishasi. Kagshadege. Patsy kagshadaganik. Nou Patsy maar kagshadege in. Maar nagatu enim ni ke payan chike. Midas maar benoji mana dendang. Nemaja binabe. Genin we bejan en de misak chimwit. Mama! Me mokwaki benoji. Mokwaki benoji. Hoe is het je get? Genin we ja. Genin kan chicken mama. Ni beja. Ik chimwe benoji na. Me mokwaki. Zo hebben we koekenausang. Some guy. Benoji got chiet koekenausen. Guy pane. Gucci shine gromaji nasi. Kita benoji em. Nangot nong abdek. Gedonagana. Maar geen gucci ich bin nee. Ich bin nakita geen. Tem gat nongo. Ich bin kwe nakita get. Nene nakita get. Tem gat nongo. Waju nat benoji. We nagedo enjagasat gebegi ishik. Epiche nakien. Misako. Schkimaji nem de benoji ode. Mishkintem wijat ode. Misa nou. Kundak. Kawido kwak. Patin wak benojiek. Ja wak kwe en kijik man pi. Wanagad nojige wagan en ki. Nu na ki abdek. Misa benoji. Oh guys, het doe je asi. Mama, je gaat in gaan chicken. Takje mooi benoji, dat mokwaki. Mie mokwaki. Mokwaki. Nou. Marcus Phelpsky. Marcus Phelpsky ongi kwejemik. Mi manda shanda kanjik chijibiya. Kishpin manda wike genoam demek wike debade demek. Mage wike kwejemiek. Dat bada dan. Kadeshwigo abdek nee manda. Gaa-kinoomaaged. Kchui kaba ma pi manda de no da Gaa-kinoomaaged. Schkemach da Gaa-kinoomaaged. Nee gwetugan do Gaa-kinoomaaged. Min ke mino beja. Wisne. Mino. Mish mino. Anch mino bekanak tapna mot eknoomaagsijik. Mi Gaa-kinoomaaged. Anishpi wabejat. Apish ngoche wapanjimin ket. Oh, mi pige bejan. Mi ude wapanjimin ken. Mi ekonishin guyas Gaa-kinoomaaged. Maji nondang nen. Mage meshkot maji nondadan ekonishin Gaa-kinoomaaged guya. Oh, wikijuna. Oh. Maganit wikijuna. Mage nuichken wikijuna. Mi ekonishin Gaa-kinoomaaged guya. Manda dashge good bishko. Jibo wikijunat nuichken. Nisha jibo bishat. Pama pi ekon sing mage ekoniwing guya Gaa-kinoomaaged. Mi bijinak manda da no gimaji ni. Gaa-kinoomaaged. Gego dus kiespin, gego guye dus agwen massi. Gego nee on bangendis nende gego wam da mek mande kiespin sastas wek. Gebeng mande njetam win sastaming. Mande de no ek chiganobi gadek ek chiganom sing wekedang. Go ked bap nango ode. What?
What's this debop? What's this verb debop? I can understand the whole sentence except I don't know what that verb
Oh,
is.
debabe. Kashinomon. De bishko. Kiespin mande mikan, mande namak. Kudo mibis kudo da baning. Gedon kwebis miknang abdek, manda mikan namat. Abdek win kwebis. Japon kwebis ein, abdek, gedo kedabab. Wie na bija beza. Ka na hangen kwebis. Mage manda, mage ngat kambis. Gedo kedabab. Mie de babe. Mage gishpin, gego kchim. Gegun dubin gadun kchim kak mage kchetaswin mage abdek doje gade sebin gadon. Gishpin kai gegun duden in de zinjen de gain dud babsi. Gibt action sam gain gide babsi. Mir du gimmas ja. Ja, as not de babin. Mi with de babe. Gishpin ich bin mas sein miknang. Wit kam sein. Gai manda ich bin ni benango. Manda minda mamda na masat. Gai de babsiuk. You ba mapi. Ja. Gai de babsiuk. Za mandan de mamda na. As na mas sein. De babin. Apichin. De babin. Mage miknang wit kam sein. Ke goet to goshit kam se ke de babin. We are beach besa we na how I we na hangat kam se. Me with the babin. Nee.
De bab gae pijige anjigego da besku gishkizan hego da.
Gego da mixe. When to go. Kana ma go da mixe. De babin gana ma gabe gego shit tek. Bekana kego ibop chigish kodaman. Gito na how gego ibo shwebak. Nee dus. Giizsookwe de besku nee. Da banak pimbizot keda babin chibuan kwebizain. Mage chibuat kambizin. Keda babin. How I guia. Gishpin de bab suan. Gishpin da ban bija bisit. Gwekchin kwak Chicago. Shijimaji. Gishpin gajoe bisan. Bindiga donge go bindiga da badma de bab suan. Gioptaction. Gego gijoe bat. Twiskognani. We Gaa-kinoomaaged. Nies aan het. Gishpin de bab suan miknang jabon kwebizain. Nies aan het wip tak Chicago in. Gwik tjoebes gwi wisgishin. Magego gwi appesikos. Daban wibikshin. Nies aan het. Manda, gai go opjige undishwebes is si. Gai git bab sigashigo. Gai go undokje wisgishi si. Gai go pane etego nies aan het. Mixes no de babin. Manda shenden gikit. Ngo kedabab nanga. Jabo wikitunak nwichke. We babamin kyang. Anishwa oji de babia. New kedabab. Patin dun de minen ode. Go on up. De jin dun go minen. Nishke de anin minen nan de minen. Patin dun go minen. Nou, go ik het je aan witje. Aha. Pauw je zin, min keda. Gikke de paptem. Zam. Gishpin ge goed test nog minen, maar ge appetje op een gitek. De basic. De basic. De basic. Dan heb een giminen. Gishpin dus witje, ik je na kambe. Gishpin ge goed test nog minen, witje. Gishpin wie bejan witje. Gishpin ook de babsion. Gishpin dus ge goed test nog ode. Maar je hebt op een gitek. Wie bejan metro. Nishagi gejes manian. Metro man pinanen minen tek. Midas man de enje zitje. Wie bonjour bakwe. Go de bab. Tam mandan gazitje. Go de bab. Nou, patindon. Nou, missenishing. Nga majibi mo nichke. Ani, patindon minan. Quickjunin, babamin keda. Kchik bish. Patindon minan. Missen nichke. Nou, mine patinak minan. Oké de babia. Wamdama, patinak minan. Mi Gaa-kinoomaaged. Giizsookwe dus. Oké de bab. Giizsookwe oké de babia. Oké, man dus het je swan. Giizsookwe oké de bab swan. Juwikjunak. Bejat. Manda, anish manda enjes het je. Anish manda enjes het je. Anish onje ke de babia. Manda we bojoebok. Nisha jibwa bejat. Ni manda enjes het je antam. Nou. Ni ben ik ego hippige de monim. Ego zou ik maken. Ich bin mit Kiriek. We nicht de de man. Pokeru ja, we not magiek. Maar dan pokeru kedak kispin. What the heck is Marianne talking about? Kchimwe gwech. Kchimwe. Mama. Kchimwe ben oji mokwakit.
I'm gonna have a good look around now before I invite my friends to go berry picking. Just kidding. Before they arrive? Or are you saying like, what's the Nisha doing there?
Yeah. Nou. Sam Niibing Nisha. Niibing. Mi wingoding. Nisha dikit. BTS give up mark. Sugar giun kweshko. Ojo sugar giwi das o ma sugar. Ani gana dik Nisha dikit. Gde boesi. Mi wingoding. Nee, dus ik go Eshki-nishnaabemjig is in de kasang. De beschko. Giizsookwe bise mego manda naneda. Nanamien danis. Manda ne in July ngote miade gezet. Gim kwendana. Stote daigam gung nee. Geta jame. Manda mi pando am dan kitan danis. Saksen dik daigam mekinten endamen. Saksen dik abdek. Bachinak nee. Nana de baganet. Tajada. Misigi jang daigam gung. Kain success no. Kabakwe Nishangi jame. Kai mamda wiyamang wayamang. Nishangi jame. Nou. Pama pide kabdek wabang gebep skabing. Ka. Saksin ginendam gaidash. Migo emia. Migo emia.
Is it you made an assumption? No.
Kai migo mem catch assumption. Giizsookwe tesnuk minen bishat nichke. Nishagon gibeja. I watch gegu minen tesnun. I came here for nothing. Pointless. No berries to take home. Giizsookwe kwendeman. Kada wisne weshengegam gong. Beskone Tutti frutti. Nibena shengegam gun. Gbeigishig saxinon. Pinish gonakshik. Shanksel bagnek, dasel bagnek anin. Midas on tutti frutti gnamagadin endem. Oh, yeah. Oh, we said out tutti frutti in new bagnek. Saxin dik gedinendam. Sam kinnershen gegam goon gbeigishig saxinon. Me said na how bet tutti frutti. Was I? Oh, nishangisha. Sulbaganek kuntakabakwigeok. I engage candies in a way.
One nisha, iko, nigani, you.
Tam kidam nisha. Me gwech, pandena abadek, ni tam kidam minchidik. We bamin kyang, jibabishat nisha. Nangut. Ekonish, I go mem catch abadek pane. Nishgana, mander, kikidia. Me win tam mekwendama. My first immediate concern is that for nothing she doesn't come. Me win nisha and jakiriantum. You go to them. Quinoa was it gig. Nisha. Nangud nung gegu do kidme. Bean dickanagwe and that be madasijik. Nangud nung nee. Oh, Anishna in the key and nanganakshik. Oh, Anidish, gegu nagdanakanige. Oh, ka, Nishaganaga Wagemin. Sort of like saying in English, oh, I'm just curious. I have nothing in mind. Just asking, I was just curious. Asking for nothing, like I have no purpose in mind. Just. I'm not expecting either you to have plans or me to have something in mind. If you're not doing anything, I thought we could. I'm just curious, just wondering. Me nisha nangud nang nakasang. Yeah, I know this is pretty mind-blowing for people new and beginners in the language. Yeah, that kind of stuff I never got around to being able to actually teach that because there was never enough enrollment for the more advanced courses, 3rd or 4th level. That's when that would have come up, that kind of big, long remark. Yeah, so if you're feeling like you're drowning. Totally understandable feeling. Gishpen pekan gego ikwedwek. Jego mande mem catch chigenom dangego. Gishpen pekan gego mkwende mek wakwedwek. Pekan gego kwedmeshik. Kai mem catch abadek mande kwid battasina. Gaga daga sibian. We na mande we should be on. Jaboga sibima. We should be on, Rashagi should be on. Pishman daga sibigan. But yeah, it comes up an awful lot when we're teasing you and joking around with each other. Oh, the shaganagatin. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you. Niibing and ching nisha Asian cause. Shaganandikit, shaganagatin. Mage we go kid at the wet was nishagadish. Nishagadish. Ich bin Rochelle. Genau, oh, yeah. Uyak cha. Payarın da uyak cha. Winesk cha. Kuya ektiş begabut. Cha. Wineshidik. Governor General. And yes, Giizsookwe, Governor General. Oh, Mary Simon. Oh, Mary Simon, yeah. Queen Queshcock. Giizsookwe. Wow. Gai ngi ken nixi Mary Simon. Gai gego Giizsookwe jigan ospa Nishnaabemwin. You're pulling my leg, in other words. Why the heck would Mary Simon even know me? That she would want to meet me. Nishnaabemwin. Oh, ich bin genau da gegen Tigo, schwebt geboe. Oh, eine Schande, das sie, eine Schande, den Sino, gegen Tigo, Queen Queshcock, Mary Simon. Oh.
Notebook is a kana bajmi the batam
Ki de badadana. Oh, obvious ki machi de badadana.
Miga kidogo.
Gain makwensin chen de jeba gayat. When is nango ek kishep kidikit. Sheba. When is gayat sheba. Kia sheba obvious. Mi ush pi mi no wam min gok ush meni benanga de badadan gikit. Na how? Stajena, man die machi de badama. Na how? Ki kendan obvious. Is na kimgak. Eshki-nishnaabemjig, gaim she apache. Pangiet na ma dagin ondana ashashgo obvious. Na how? Pokaru the machi na ki. Oshid machi. Mandashitya. Kegap kigwe se pokaru hegap. Kegap kigwe se asna me na mania. Kida. Now, this is going to get hard to not get technical with this. Okay. Nishnaabemwin. Okay. Usually when I was teaching, it would come up with the VTAs. So I'll start there. It's not limited to VTAs, but that's where I used to start. Because VTAs, the way we introduce them generally, or not we necessarily, all the teachers, but dictionaries, the first kind of VTA they list is the kind that's used to say something about I to him or her, or you to him or her. Like, Giizsookwe, I'll ask him or her. Giizsookwe, will you ask him or her? So in these situations, you hear the verbs generally, like if it's a question like that or just a statement, Giizsookwe, I'll ask him, you hear a verb with at the end. Kiwapmana, did you see him? Gaa-kinoomaaged, did you talk to him? The verbs end with that, and then you add your usual whatever prefixes for person and tense, okay? So that's how we start off with VTAs. That's one of the stem. At this point, we start talking in terms of stems. And here is why, okay? Like, I have to go through this before I get to the actual VTA. Because Nishnaabemwin, unlike English, where English relies on word order, Paul asked Mark. You know who did the asking? Paul, because Paul's name comes before the verb. Nishnaabemwin, word order can vary. Okay? It's not always the person doing the asking. When you're talking about 2/3 persons, it's not always the person doing the asking or doing the talking to, and so on, whose name comes first. That person's name could come at the very end, but he or she is still doing the asking. Okay? So usually, one way I've done this, there might be 2 or 3 other better ways to do this. The reason I do it this way is because linguists, to make sense of this, linguists called this whole way of organizing verb forms, they called it person hierarchy. Okay? And what they mean is, it's like, so because the term hierarchy is used, I sort of used steps as a graphic. Okay? So on these steps are the people who can do actions. Okay, so Nishnaabemwin. The person put on the top step is you. The person put on the second step is I. The person put on the third step is him or her. I'll put it in those forms for now. It can be he or she. Okay, so these kinds of, the ah endings come up like when we're asking, for example, did you ask him or her? There is the marker for you, person prefix, tense marker. Giizsookwe. And when I answer, Giizsookwe, I am, yes, I asked him or her. So you're hearing kwejma again. Giizsookwe. So there's the end signaling that I did the asking. Yeah, Giizsookwe, I asked him. Okay, did you ask him? Yeah, Giizsookwe, I asked him. So the significant thing is, in a way, because of this person hierarchy sort of graphic, this model, mental model, paradigm, in a way, although it's not literally a literal action, the action is going downwards. You to him or her, I down to him or her on these steps. The person doing the doing is higher than the person, than this person, than the him or her. Okay? Now, sometimes we're talking about 2 third persons. Did Mark ask Paul? In which case you're talking about did he ask him? That's why you need to change that in English. Nishnaabemwin, it doesn't matter. Whether you're saying him or he, you're talking about the same person. Whether you're saying she or her, you're referring to the same person. These are just important for English grammar sentences. You can't say him asked she. You're told that's not proper grammar. Okay, so in Nishnaabemwin, did he, Mark, ask him, Paul? Let's say Paul is the him, and Mark is the he. If Mark, now there's nothing special about Mark that he gets to be on a higher step. It's just the way it clicks in our mind that we regard Mark in that instance. Just in that one instance of that one remark, we happen to sort of imagine him up here. He asked Paul. Did he ask Paul? Giizsookwe. It's not enough to say Giizsookwe. You got to stick on this n. That's an obviative suffix. So when your verb stem is ah, it's just Giizsookwe, kiwapman, kinonan, kiginonan, kitaqshkoan, and so on and so forth. okay? And if the person is named, Giizsookwe, that person's name also gets an ovulative suffix. That's what's happening. That's why you now and then see those things tagged onto people's names, names of things. Like if it happens to be animate. She's eating an apple. Apples are animate. So we talk about animate entities as if they were people. So if I'm talking about a person eating a food that happens to be an animate noun, this happens too. Instead of simply saying mshimin mwan, mshiminan mwan. That's what's going on there. And yeah, if everything else, if there wasn't so much other stuff that you guys had to juggle, because Nishnaabemwin is so different from English, animate, intransitive, inanimate, transitive, animate, transitive, inanimate, negative suffix C, negative suffix no. If there wasn't all that kind of thing to juggle, this would also go into an introductory course, because this comes up all the time. Anytime you're talking about two third persons, where one is doing something to or for or with the other third person, this is coming up all the time. But in English, this doesn't happen. In English, you rely on word order. Did Mark ask Paul? You don't say, did Paul Mark ask? Right off the bat, that's how you know. Who did the asking? Who am I wondering about Mark, if he asked Paul? Nishnaabemwin. I could say, Paulan na Mark Giizsookwe. Paulan na Giizsookwe Mark. I could move those words around, and I'm still asking the same question. Did Mark ask Paul? Now.
Mark and Paul.
Gishpin Kidian, Markun, Giizsookwe Paul. If I hear that, I'm going to understand that you're asking me, did Paul ask Mark? Because when the instant you add Markun, you add un on Mark's name, you're putting Mark on the fourth step. So linguists, or for explanatory purposes, people will say, yeah, second person, because we're sort of so used to the English terms, it's like, is there anything magical as to why is the second person and why I am the first person pronoun? Oh, because English worldview is like, I come first, I am most important. It doesn't work for Nishnaabemwin. Over here, people say, like, you have to mark you. On the hierarchy, if you is in the picture in a sentence, they have to be marked. If you are also in the picture, never mind you. Like if I am in the picture, well, never mind me. I got to mark you. That's why in English, you're saying, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Hi, most important person in English. We'll see you. Okay. Nishnaabemwin, I have to mark you. Go up. Really, when you say go up, min, you're really silently marking you. How come? You is on the top step. Go up, min. That's why every time you guys take leave for the day, go up, min. You, most important person, I will see. Later, whenever. Yeah, gezagen. Yeah, you don't say gezagen. You say gezagen. You I love. Mi Nishnaabemwin Eshki-nishnaabemjig. That's how our sentences work. Now how? So that's a little glimpse of obviative.
For some reason, this took me a long time to figure out, but you is the person I'm speaking to. You're the person I'm talking to. You're in it. I say you. And for some reason, like when I was looking at the chart, I was always like thinking of it differently. But it's the person who's right.
Like that's why it's hard to just think of it in terms of these graphics and charts. Like you have to sort of put yourself in the situation. Go-abmin. Go-abminim. Like you have to like if you're not there, it helps if you can visualize. If you have a mind for visualizing assorted scenarios, put yourself into the picture. Role play in your mind, even if you're practicing at home by yourself. Now, kishpen shuga ganonak. Now shuga. Kawidazomin. I'll take a picture with you. Okay. How's the minds? Not exploding yet? Is the pressure building up? Ding, 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 alarm bell. How's the minds? I'm going to throw another thing at you. Don't feel you have to make sense of it now. It's just so you're aware. Because this isn't always the case. Sometimes it's the fourth person doing this. Sometimes it could be the very same action, asking, but the person doing the asking is on the fourth step and they're asking somebody on the first step. This is why we get into verb stems. Kwejama doesn't work anymore. Markun. Ki kwejmig. Different verb stem. Kwejmig. Markun ki kwejmigun. Obviative suffix looks different. It sounds different rather than kwejman. It just sounds better that way. Kind of hard to just stick an N in there. Can't say it anyhow. Kwejing. This one is very sayable. Markun ki kwejmigun Paul. When I hear that, Mark is on the bottom step, Paul is up here. And that is totally arbitrary. Been getting that.
And only the fourth person can ask the third person, and that's it.
Pardon me?
Can only the fourth person ask the third
Oh
person?
no, either way can happen. Can be this or that or that or this. That's what makes it tricky, because at that point, you're mentally switching back and forth. Okay, do I need to say Kwejman or Kwejmegon? And okay, how do we decide who's the fourth person in which one of these two people, these two others, not you, not I? That is totally unconscious and arbitrary in the speaker's mind. And Rand Valentine, I really struggled to explain that. In a way, one way to maybe picture it is that when you are talking about two people doing something, if you think of a physical action, like physical action, hockey players hitting each other, giving each other a body check. One of them is coming from a distance to come and give the other person a body check, if you can visualize that. Okay, so the person who's coming in to give the body check to this guy closer to you in your mental image, your little video playing in your mind, the person farther away is the fourth person. Okay? I can't think of any hockey players' names offhand, but so whoever that further away guy is, that's the guy on the fourth step. The guy closer to you in your mental image of this little video playing in your mind is the guy on the third step. Keep takskagun. You're going into the og form. Well, not the a form, the og form. Keep takskagun. Yeah, this is why I held off on teaching this, not in the introductory courses, or not even in the introductory B, where I introduce transitive verbs. Ptak, shka, gon. You hear the on again, because the body checker, I'm in my mind, they're further away from me, I'm putting them on the fourth step. The person being body checked is closer to me, I'm putting them on the third step. Keep tak, shka, gon. Okay, now, here you heard kwejma became kwejmik, the other verb stem. In the dictionary, in most dictionaries generally that exist now, the basic verb stem given for this, the a form, is ptakshkoa. So some things are predictable in terms of like just the sound of the word. So generally, it seems that when you have a VTA that ends with an awa sound or a wa sound, kinoomawa, kinoomaaged. Takshkoa, ptakshkak. The stem changes in that way. Naadamawa, naadamaaged. So that's a consistent like phonological thing that's happening. So that's why we're not going with takshkoik. We're going with takshkak. It's just a consistent sound pattern. And then obviative, on. Okay? So that might be one way for certain actions. Of course, certain actions do not entail that kind of physical distancing in your mind, that you can't visualize it as a physical distance. So Rand Valentine, the way he explained it, I liked it. He did an article for Shkabe's journal, analyzing Nishnaabemwin story, or can't remember, yeah, it's a story, also Kanes, of Sun and Moon. I forget what year that was, if you ever track it down. He's a heavy-duty linguist, so he uses some heavy-duty linguistics terms in there. But fundamentally, the other way in that article he explained it is, every time you're talking about two different people, now these guys have to be in different roles. One has to be doing, he calls them roles. One is the actor, the person doing the action, whether that's him or him. And the other, the one to whom the action is being done, or for whom, that's the other role. Like this is irrelevant if you say, Mark and Paul asked me. That's irrelevant. They're both doing the asking. It's not Mark asking Paul. It's the two of them asking me. So that's a different situation. So this comes up only when they're in different roles grammatically. Okay? So how he explained it is, let's go with Patsy Minoa. Sinis. Okay. Niibing. So think of an action that one of you might be doing to the other. No fighting, no. What? Oh, shama? Now. So when I'm recounting the event, telling somebody what's happening here, the way Rand explained it, it's as if the person talking, me, telling you guys about those two people, it's like I'm situating myself from a particular vantage point. I'm going to tell the story from near Sinis. Patsy is further away. So she is proximate, close to me. That person further away, where I parked myself to recount the story, like visually parked, that's the obviative. Okay, fourth person, obviative. Patsyin shamagon Sinis. Now, arbitrarily, instead of parking myself near here, in my imagination, I could just be giving this account from her vantage point in that one sentence. She's still doing the feeding. But now I'm closer to her. She's proximate. Now Sinis is obviative. She's further away from me. Okay? Patsy shaman sinisan. That's how Rand explained it. That is totally heavy duty. I mean, if your mind is now on the verge of exploding, totally understandable.
Shania's taught us. Shonya, sorry.
Yeah, miigwech.
That mean, being, ween, fourth person. Mean, being, ween.
There was a, yeah, I remember seeing that other kind of diagram.
The fourth person can only go to the third.
Like the fourth person comes into existence only when you have a situation where two third persons are, one is the actor, the other is the goal. Yeah, if it's me and somebody else, that other person can only be third person, can't be fourth person.
It's the fourth and the third.
Yeah, a fourth person comes into existence only when there is a third person in the picture. Yeah, there's a, this is just one way that I try to explain it. If this is easier for you to make sense of, use anything that helps you make sense.
Use anything.
Yeah, whichever works for you.
No, but yours does make sense because the hierarchy part, right?
Yeah,
And then the proximity that you mentioned
Yeah.
helps too.
Yeah, so like that was Rand's. I thought, oh yeah, okay, that works better than my body checking imagery. Yeah.
Is it a geographical proximity or is it a story proximity?
It's more of an, I forget how Rand explained it. Like even if it's a story, I'll have to double check in my mind, just run through examples. I think in the story that Rand analyzed, it's almost like the storyteller, it's not a conscious choice. Okay, this time I'm going to take the vantage point of him. Okay, next paragraph, I'm going to take the vantage. It just sort of happens. It's almost arbitrary, eh?
But in a Nishnaabemwin story, Nishnaabemwin is always going to be the third person. The animals are
I don't know.
going to be the fourth person.
I can imagine in an ambush story, I can imagine an ambush being.
He could be the fourth.
Yeah. I don't think there's any particular, no person. There's nothing special about any person that would automatically make us always put them on the third. I don't think. Now, having said that, I don't know very many ambush stories. So I don't know if there's a general pattern. If I saw a bunch, maybe there is a general pattern.
So we have to look up Grant Valentine's story.
If you want, if you're prepared for real heavy-duty linguistics. I'm trying to sort of make it sound more normal, everyday language here. Yeah, he's a linguist. Yeah, and that's why that's why we're talking about verb stems, because of course sometimes it's like, oh, go min. Oh, I want to ask you something. Oh, I want to ask you something. Min. So that's another different verb stem. Same action. This just comes up if I say, I want to ask you, something, okay? Or somebody's sort of approaching me, but they're not saying anything, and I'm wondering why they're sort of, like they must be shy. Oh. Do you want to ask me something? So, that's the, I want to ask you something. You're going to hear a verb stem ending with in. The turns into in as your stem. You are still higher up on the step than me. So how do we know who the people hear in a sentence like Giizsookwe? The verb stem you're hearing in combination with the prefix you're hearing or seeing, okay? So there's not one single piece now that signals that's the person doing the action, that's the person they're doing it to. You're working in combination with verb stems plus prefixes, okay? Or you're not saying anything. Do you? want to ask me, whether I refer to myself with an I or a me in English, the same person. I and me is the same person. Okay, this is just important for English. Do you want to ask me something? Geeguna. Giizsookwe. Different verb stem. Okay, so the reason you're hearing gui here is not because it's not because of an English syntax. Do you want to ask me something? That's not why. It's because you are on the higher step than I am. Do you want to ask me? Yes, I want to ask you something. You are still on the higher step. But now it's the verb stem ending that tells, yeah, I want to ask you something. Okay? So that's the basics of person hierarchy and why obviation kicks in. And yeah, those other verb stems, I would sort of try and ease people into using them. 4th course, 5th course, more practice. Probably need I laid out syllabi or course descriptions for Intro A, Intro B, Intermediate A, Intermediate B, Intermediate C, Advanced A, Advanced B. I probably need an Advanced C, Advanced D. Anyhow, never got around to that. Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Now, one more quirky thing. One of these verb stems does double duty. One of these does double duty. When you have a tense prefix and a person prefix, you've got a sentence. Do you want to ask me something? And I don't have an answer for you. Ask him. Wa. Kwejim. So the kwejim stem also is used for commands like ask him, ask her, tell him, tell her, go with him, go with her. The stem by itself works as a command. When it's not a command, you use the same sounds to form you, me remarks. Independent. So far, this is just independent, non-conjunct. The conjunct of these is the advanced D. No, just kidding. Yeah, I think I actually got into conjuncts in intermediate B, maybe, with some of these stems. Anyhow, I think Monty has the manual for that, or the lessons I drafted. Now, I'll let that gradually filter in to the mind grapes, as my daughter calls the brain.